First one I got arrested was surprisingly consensual. I got arrested protesting a war. I don't even remember which one at this point. Who can keep track, right? But I was protesting one of them out there doing the thing, and we did a die-in, which means we all went down to the federal building and we all laid down and pretended we were dead. And when the cops came in, they said, okay, we're gonna start arresting you in 4 minutes. And a few people that were like, I gotta work tomorrow, got up and left, you know. But then the cops came up to each of us and they were like, we're gonna arrest you, is that, are you accepting that or do you wanna leave? Which was very polite, I thought, the whole thing was very civil. And I said, no, I'm here to be arrested. And they were like, all right, let's do it. And this was all in front of news cameras. And 2 cops very gently picked me up. One had me under the knees and one had me under the armpits. And they gently lifted me up in front of the news cameras. And then in front of the news cameras, they walked me into the federal building where there were no news cameras. Then they picked me up and dropped me on my back. Said, get over there with the rest of the hippies. All the politeness was gone, but it was the best arrest ever. And it may have been what started my life of getting arrested, because I was like, this is fun. They didn't search us or book us, they just stuck us all in a cell. I was in a cell with priests. I was in a cell with grandmothers for peace. There were hippies and punk rockers. We were having a good time. 2 guys rolled up a joint and started smoking a joint in the jail cell. And everyone looks at the priest, and he's like, I'll take care of this, So he walks up to them, and he says, boys, and he turns his Irish accent up to 10, to try to be that priest, And he says, boys, are you sure this is a good idea? And they said, oh, Father, please understand, we have a list of all the unusual places we've smoked pot, and we didn't think that a jail cell was ever going to be a space on our bingo card that we would get to fill. They usually take this away from you, And to my amazement, the priest goes, I understand. I'll never know for sure, but I swear for a minute he considered maybe asking for a puff. Like his life could have changed that day. He's just like, They taught me things, those anti-war protesting hippies. They taught me stuff like how to walk. When you're walking in a protest, they told me keep your feet low to the ground. Keep your hands at your side. Don't run, don't yell, don't jump around, don't give the cops any excuse to hit you with a nightstick and say that you were acting in a threatening manner. They'd all been hit with nightsticks. They learned these lessons. They told me how to do it. The next protest that I was in was a gay rights protest. Nobody told the gays how you're supposed to protest. It was a very different experience. I'm there like feet down, hands at my side, walking right, and they had feather boas and whistles and they're dancing. They were having a rave, essentially a rave for, there were people on stilts. I was like, the cops don't like that. You step like right over their horses, It was amazing. They had the best chants. They were chanting, we're here, we're queer, we're not going shopping. I was like, that's good. I wish I wrote that. That is fantastic. It was a good time, But the problem is that the cops in Sacramento at that time had gotten smart, and they would just slap a parade permit on you and then take all the teeth out of your protest, start blocking streets for you, being like, hey, it's a parade. Pride came early. You're like, no, we want to disrupt, because the whole idea is to disrupt. So then the thing go on the freeway. That's how that started happening. You had to go up on the freeway to actually make an impression, so they head towards the freeway. But again, everyone's jumping around and dancing and having a good time, and the riot cops sweep in and they stop everybody, but I'm walking like this, and I kind of accidentally slip right through them. I'm more and more by myself on this freeway off-ramp, and then I stop, and I look around, and they're like yards behind me. I see the back of the riot cops with their shields on the other side. They don't like you there. And I think I better get out of here. And then a motorcycle comes rolling down, and this big cop gets off the motorcycle and he says, get off the off-ramp. And I said, yes, sir. And I did the walking thing. I was trained to walk, and he says, run. And I was like, well, the hippies actually told me not to, that I should. And he shoved me and he said, run. And the hippies were right, because the minute I started running, he grabbed me and he beat the crap out of me. Yeah, this story got ugly, huh? He stepped on my face, he bloodied me up, he was choking me, and he told me I was gonna die. And that's when a female cop pulled him off of me, helped me up, and then walked me straight to a newspaper reporter. I was like, I don't really get whose side you're on. This is very weird. The newspaper reporter says, "What's your name?" I said, "My name." She said, "You're gay, right?" "Not are you gay?" "You're gay, right?" I was like, "I'm used to that." "No, actually, I'm not." She laughed. "Ha! It's a good one." And then they took me away. They took me away to jail. In jail, the guy was all, "What's your name?" And I remembered that protesters had done this at another protest, so I said, "Harvey Milk." And he said, "Harvey Milk, the slain civil rights activist." And I was like, "Who are you?" What cop would know who Harvey Milk is and say it that way? I was like, "You might be all right." Here's my actual name. He says, "You're gay, right?" And I was like, "What?" "No, I'm not. Why are you asking?" He said, "Because if you're gay, we'll put you in a pink jumpsuit to keep you safe." I was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." You guys really thought this one through. No, if I may keep my regular clothes, some people would say they say enough already. Should go ahead and put me in the cell there. They put me in the cell. I see an interesting looking guy on the bench. I go sit down. His name is Paul. Paul says, "You one of those weirdos up on the freeway?" For a minute, I didn't want to admit that I was. And then I was like, "No, I'm not going to be ashamed of myself." I said, "Yes, Paul, that was me. We're protesting for gay rights." And Paul goes, "You going to save the world?" I was like, "I don't know, Paul. I'm going to try. What's your story?" And Paul says, "Well, I'm just being transferred from one prison to another. But you guys blocked the freeway, so I got to spend the night here." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, dude." And he's like, "No, it's cool. I like a little change of scenery. Prison gets real boring." He's like, "It's nice to have a little diversion." And just then, these two skinny white kids, a full Beavis and Butthead, get put in the cell. They'd been in a fist fight with one another and gotten arrested. They put them in. They right away see me as the easy target, and they walk over and they go, "Get up, we want to sit there." And Paul jumps up and goes, "You sit down on your shoes now!" And both kids rip their shoes off, throw them on the ground, sit on them. I was like, "Paul, that was amazing." I don't know what this means about us now, if I'm in your gang or if we're BFFs or whatever, but I'm into it, Paul. You are a powerful person. That was like superhero stuff. I like it. So we were having fun, you know. The fun stopped. They start taking people out of the room. They're going upstairs. I find out I have 2 felonies against me. Chances are pretty good I'm going upstairs. I'm afraid to call my parents to tell them. Later they yelled at me for that. I was like, you guys, every coming out day, you guys wait for me to call you and tell you that I'm gay. And now I'm going to call you and go, "Mom and Dad, first of all, I'm still not gay." But I did get arrested for it. So I did not call my parents. So they're gonna hang on to me for a while. They put me in a different room, and then a cop comes in with a clipboard and he starts reading off names. And every person, as he reads off their name, they stand up and they walk out into the hallway and they take off all their clothes. And they spread their legs. And they bend over and they move things out of the way. And a cop with a flashlight takes a very thorough look at them. Now, I am a person who doesn't take his clothes off, like ever. We're just getting over a heat wave, and I'm wearing 2 shirts and long pants. And this is as close to naked as any of you have seen me. I am not happy about this. This is how anti-nude I am. When my daughter was 3, I realized that I was staying in hotels and not taking her in the pool because of my own issues. And I was like, that's not right. I want to be a good dad. So I took my shirt off in public and picked my daughter up. And my daughter had never seen her own father without his shirt on. And her eyes got this big. And as we stepped in the pool, she said out loud, "Ha! Men have nipples." So I'm not happy about what's going on in the hallway. And the cop reading the names sees that I'm uncomfortable. He sees that I'm miserable, and so he keeps reading each name and looking at me, waiting until it's my turn. Until finally I'm the only person in the room. And he says, "One name left on the list, buddy." And I went, "Oh no." And he says, "Ramon Vasquez?" And I went, Did I mention I laugh in conversation? He says, what's so funny? I said, I'm not Ramon Vasquez. Do I look like Ramon Vasquez? Showed him my bracelet. Look, not Ramon Vasquez, says right there very clearly. He says, sit down. I'll be back. Like, he really wanted me naked at that point. It was flattering. He leaves the room. I am so relieved for this temporary reprieve. I'm drumming on the metal bench. And then I hear, hey, shut up, man. And I was like, what? And I look under the bench. I was like, Ramon! Oh, my God, dude. You were just saved from the most heinous indignities, sir. Stay under there forever. You're good. This is not a friendly place to Ramones. So I got out of there. And then a church. My friend's mom is a minister, and she collected the money from her church to pay my bail. And they came and got me. I was all, I'm still an atheist, but I appreciate this. She took me to get a veggie burger and then straight home. That's what I wanted. Give me a veggie burger and take me home. I go home, and I've got all these messages on my answering machine, and they're all from my parents. Because that reporter had run a story. Lowell Jensen, gay, of San Francisco. I love that the only part they got right was my name. E-N, not O-N, E-I, not I-E. I mean, they nailed it, which never happens. Just like, oh, great. No, Mom and Dad, I do not live in San Francisco.